who shines the light forth on the path of Mahati, which is the path of truth, justice, righteousness, and harmonious balance, who comes to us to perform the light of vitality, giving us the strength and the endurance to live and act upon that which we know to be true. Homage to you, the one who shines in and through us as a beacon of light for those who are blind to the fact of their place, their position, and their responsibilities in the divine scheme of things. May we be, Ma'akaru, true of thought, word, and deed, to our highest reality, and in our moments of crisis and the dark nights of the soul, when it appears that everyone and everything has let us down. So it is, and so shall it be. Amen. Ma'ak. Ma'akiru. 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 MC, dua. And then I must greet you in my customary greetings. Atapu Mary Kuma'u, how never and how much it is to be in your countenance, this Heru Ra. How's everybody feeling? We had Sir Chef come bless the mic. I don't even think I need to, my words might be empty. I got a couple things to say. Raise your hand. How many people are going through something? You're going through something, right? Folk came up here testifying. And, when I was called to speak, what came to me was this message that I want to share with you. And I titled it, Why You? Or Why Me? And so it deals with that. As Kemites, oftentimes we believe that we're not supposed to endure real life experiences. It's like, wait a minute. I done did my altar work. I go to communion. I took my spiritual baths. I light my altar candles. I do the work. I listen to hymnetta. So why am I going through stuff? And my question is, you did all that, and so what? So you ain't supposed to experience hardship? You ain't supposed to experience loss? You ain't supposed to experience failure? And as our brother Armin just shared what failure means, all that's a part of life. We often talk about the Christians, and they go through it. The Christians go through it. Sometimes we look at the Muslims with the kimon and hijab, the brothers with the orange beards and the burgundy beards, sisters with the nice henna tattoos. They go through it. Through it too. And you have to go through it to get to it. They say this statement, you can't have a testimony without at first having a test. And Bob Marley put it in the song. Hymnetta came up and talked about him dropping bars. I ain't gonna drop bars, I'm gonna see if my melody is right. He said, for when the rain falls, it don't fall on one man's housetop. Remember that. How'd I sound?
That's true. You sound good.
No, I don't. That's my showtime with the following moment. When the rain falls, it don't fall on one man's housetop. So we all get rained on. We all got to go through the storms, right? We all want to have our metal tested. We all want to have our foundation shaken. Just because you're Kemite and just because you do what you're supposed to do doesn't mean you're going to escape life's experiences. So, say, why me?
Why me?
Why not you, brother? Why not you, sister? And that came from a movie. Y'all ever seen the Sidney Poitier, Bill Cosby movies? It's one of my favorite lines, Richard Pryor. So Sidney Poitier had a lottery ticket, and it was in his wallet. His wallet was lost. So he went to a private detective to help him find his lottery ticket. Come to find out, this private detective was a con man. And so when the police arrived and they chased him down, they finally caught him, and they say, yeah, we know you was Cleophas Washington in Seattle or you were Sharp by Washington, whatever. He had all these different names. And so Sidney Poitier asked him, why me? His line was classic. Why not you, brother? Right? And I say that to us because I want us to understand, and it's interesting what we've been sharing and everyone been sharing their trials and tribulations, because it's real and it's supposed to be. You know. So here's what I want you to think about. Who told you, though, that you weren't strong enough? Who told you you wasn't wise enough? Who told you you wasn't patient enough? Who told you you weren't disciplined enough? Who told you you weren't built for this? This is a part of the journey, right? And so oftentimes when I'm called to speak and when I have a message on my heart, I go to our wisdom text to validate it. So the Hosea, this is the book of Kemmunion, page 32. Number 3, it says, the balancing of the land lies in my eye. Powerful that Armin just spoke about, explaining that in detail. And we didn't talk at all, so mind detect mind. The balancing of the land lies in my eye. Truth, justice, and righteousness. Do not speak falsely, for you are great. Okay. Do not act lightly, for you have weight. It's interesting. So those of us who are believers of Ma'at, we're the ones who are to bring righteousness, bring balance, bring order, bring harmony, bring justice, bring reciprocity. To who? First to ourselves. It's powerful how you drop that with the mind, with what you say, the prison is what others think of. So first to ourselves and then to others. We got to bring justice. Here's what it says this. It says, you are on the level with the balance. If it tilts, then you will lean too. Yes. So you are on the level with the balance. Who is the balance? My eye. So you are on the level with my eye. If it tilts, you will lean too. So that verifies you need to be in balance with yourself, in harmony with yourself, bringing justice to yourself, reciprocity with yourself. My sister talked about releasing so that you can receive. And we symbolize it in the way we position our hands. One receives, the other gives. That's balance. But we have to practice it. So first and foremost, we have to bring it to ourselves. Now watch this, because here's what Kemmunion talks about. It talks about, within that, do not rob, rather acts against the robber. If you turn your face from violence, who will punish wrongdoing? See, Kemet wasn't no utopia. I think we sometimes think of it in this mythological space. It wasn't no utopia. Our ancestors saw Spadet rise. And they did. They saw the movement and understand the stars. They sure did. They also saw a man kill a man. Or a man rob a man. Because they speak about it. There's 42 precepts or the 42 laws of Ma'at that is uttered that we will practice. Why? Because men and women went astray. We went off kilter. We went out of balance. We were out of harmony. So they spoke about it, right? And I often talk about my pilgrimage in parts. My brother went this summer to our holy land, to Kemmunion. And one of the things that really hit me in going to Kemmunion, I mean, it's an awesome place. When you see all of these monuments that's up, and they're 6,000 years old. Some of them, like Karamakit, are rumored to be older, right? that's still standing. Here's what goes unmentioned. For example, we all know or we heard of Imhotep, the great multi-genius, the designer of the step pyramid. And let me say this, that building is huge. Before I went, I thought the step pyramid was like an apartment building kind of. It is huge. It is ginormous. It is humongous, right? He's the designer of this. But who was his teacher? Who was his guide? Who gave him an understanding of mathematics, of sacred science, of philosophy, of geometry, of engineering, of law? There had to be a teacher. And if there had to be a teacher, there had to be a system, a structure. There had to be a place that existed, that produced a mind like Imhotep. Me being an educator, I naturally asked that question, but let's go to politics and leadership. We know the first dynasty was created by Narmer. Narmer had 3 names, by the way: Narmer, Menes, and Aha. My son, his name is Ahadu. So we got it from the Ethiopian or the Amharic. But Narmer's name is Aha. He was from the south, Nubia, Ethiopia. He established, the name means the first or the one. He established the first dynasty, Narmer. And he came from the south to do this, right? And we know that there's 2 images of him, if you've ever seen it. One is an image, he looked just like me. I swear he's my uncle in a past life, right? Big cheeks, big lips, forehead, he got a kufi on, so you know where they get it. That's one image of Narmer. Unmistakably black. First Nisut or unified Kemet. The other is what's called the Narmer palette. And it's a plate. It's about 2 feet long. It's a carved stone plate showing Narmer holding a mace and smashing his enemies, conquering his enemies. So the question is, who trained him? Who gave him confidence? Who taught him military science, martial science, government and politics, rulership? He didn't just exist on his own. Somebody gave him that wisdom. Right? Who gave him the confidence to march thousands of miles from the south to say, no, the land is not the way it needs to be. I'm going to put it back together. I'm going to unify it. I'm going to usher in simultaneity, the unifications of upper and lower. Narmer did that. And when he did it, he established his capital city, which named after his third name. His third name is Menes. The city is called Minifer. The freaky Greeks came, and when they saw it, the freaky Greeks, they called it Memphis. The city still stands, but not only does it stand in this particular land, next to a body of water is another city named after this black man who looks like me. That's my man. And my son has the origin of his name, right? So who gave him that level? So now I talked about 2 men. To be politically correct, when we talk about my sisters, sister. Her name was Makari. Her original name is Makari. The world don't know her as Makari. One of my names is Bakari. Her name is Makari. Makari was a queen, a co-regent. And she was content being a queen, living a queenly life. Her husband, his name was Tutmosis II. He went off into battle. He didn't return. Her son, whose name was Tutmosis III, was only like 3 or 4 years old. He wasn't old enough to rule. So she said, F it. I'm going to be king. Who gave her the arrogance, the confidence, right? To think First of all, I'm going to rule the nation. Not only am I going to rule the nation, I'm going to rule the nation in the personification of a king, wearing the false beard, the crowns, the nimbus, everything. Her other name was Amensis. And she said it was Amen who was her father, who gave her permission to do this. The world knows her as Hatshepsut, the first recorded queen in history. So what do these three Kemites have in common? What's the thing about them and others that I'm sharing here? I'm sharing that regardless to whom or what, they established, they practiced, they maintained a standard that was instituted, that was established, that was developed before them, and remained even after them. All right, so watch it. The Hosea. I need a reader. Well, I forgot. I'm Hemnetta's reader. You know. Yeah, I need a reader. But here we go. Hosea, page 31, verse 1. You want to read it for me? Okay. So this is the first part.
Right there?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And where am I stopping at? One side?
Right there.
A mortal man never dies. A mortal man dies along with his dependents. But will you be a man of eternity by your righteousness?
Yeah. Okay. So the operative word in there is, will you be a man or woman of eternity by your ma'at? Because those who go down in the annals of history, they're of eternity now. The buildings are standing of eternity. So what am I trying to say? We in this land, and we're playing small. And we get targeted, we get, what's the word I want to use? We go through life challenges. Why me? Well, why not you? Will you be a man who dies along with his dependents, or will you be a man of righteousness and live for eternity? That means we got work to do. We got work to do to live to a different standard. So, I got another verse. Here's the question though. What's our standard? True, but I'm looking for a different word. What's our standard?
In the ancient legacies of the living?
That's what we do. What's our standard?
Balance. Excellence.
Bingo. Our standard is excellence. Says who? Says who? Y'all some sharp Kemites. I thought y'all was gonna say Hemnetta, because Hemnetta established our temple and established the standard of excellence, right? But I was gonna say he didn't say it. He revealed it. It's written in stone. This is the book of Ptah-hotep. It says, strive for excellence in all you do, so that no fault can be found in your character. So Hemnetta, rightly so, revealed to us what we're supposed to be on, what type of time we're supposed to be on. Strive for excellence in all you do, so that no fault can be found in your character. There's a statement before that says, if you are a leader and command many, strive for excellence in all you do, so that no fault can be found in your character. Watch this, Armin. For my act, the way of truth, justice, and righteousness is great. Its value is lasting, and it has remained unequal and unchanged since the time of its creator. Oh man, we're not small people. We're not little people. We're not insignificant people. So why not you, brother? And why not you, sister? Step to your greatness, step to your excellence, and step to your standard, regardless of what you might go through. And then we're here to support you. We're here to nourish you. We're here to give you comfort when needed, because that's what family is for. So this transformation I'm talking about requires us, and here is what I'm on. My mission is to elevate African people. That's my mission. And I'm an educator. So educate to elevate. Starting with self. Starting with self. There's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be in a certain position in a few years relative to whether it's financial, whether it's emotional, whether it's social. And that doesn't mean you ain't gonna go through anything. Because again, our ancestors went through it. Right? They honored the stars and they committed murder. They were just like everybody else. So at one level, we as Africans in this world, in this time, can't wait for everything to be right. We have to make it right. That's right. We have to be the balance. Make sense? Makes sense. All right. Let me get to one last piece. My brother over here. Kep Resch. I love Kep. Now we all know, those of you who know, if you've been around Kep for 2 minutes or longer, he's going to say something that's completely outside the realm of logic. He is, right? You don't know if he being, his sense of humor. He like to fight. You know, if he got kicked in the head too many times. Kep just be saying stuff, whether it's on written or in person. There is one thing that he says, though, that hits different. And even how he said it. Kep calls himself God. Not only he say it, he talking third person. He be like, the God Kep Resch invites you to a boot camp session. Right? He calls himself God. Now we know people call themselves in that particular sense, right? But all of us, especially with our self-initiated citizens, we've gone through an experience. We've gone through something that qualifies us, but let's go to the wisdom of the Hermetica. Man is a marvel. In this wisdom, the Hermetica talks about man, and remember I talked about my aunt just now. It says Atum is first, the cosmos is second, and man is third. Atum is one, the cosmos is one, and so is man. I'm going to just stop there. Just let that breathe. What did it just say? With who?
With all you just said.
Atum in the cosmos. Who was the cosmos? All right. But let's get equal. Who was the cosmos? We are the cosmos, but what deity is identified as the cosmos?
No.
Ma'at. Cosmic order. So check it out, God. Right? I gotta address you properly. So check it out, God, like the God Kep Resch. Let them know. Because here's what it says again. The balance of the land lies in my eye. I just shifted and said the balance of the land lies in the cosmos. Truth, justice, and righteousness. Do not speak falsely, for you are great. Do not speak falsely, for you are God. Do not act lightly, for you have weight. You have universal power. I want you to understand who you are so that we can live into our reality. So man is a marvel. The Maker made man to govern him, and if man accepts this function fully, He becomes a vehicle of order in the cosmos. We become a vehicle of Ma'at. In living Ma'at, doing Ma'at, speaking Ma'at. Oh man, we got something in us, y'all. We got something in us. And when we actualize it and put it into practice, then we become the gods who we worship. And there's nothing wrong with that, because gods are immortal men, and men are mortal gods. Check?
Check.
All right, so I'll just close with the last part of that is we constantly, and I want to make sure we acknowledge just what we have in our Hemneta, in our Hemet Neta. Because part of our duties is to honor our teacher's ability to guide us. And up to now, have we been guided wrong? Have we been steered wrong? 10. So we need to make sure we seize on the mission. Like my sister said, come next week or a couple weeks, release what we need to release in Henek Ma'at. It's not an empty, it shouldn't be an empty ritual. It shouldn't be an empty practice. It shouldn't be an empty or just going through the motions. It should be something that we take with a great deal of pride, discipline, and respect. 2?
2.
Okay, so hopefully you've been informed and you've been empowered by these words today.
2.
Do I? That's my message. May we stand? And when we say we go in peace and satisfaction, arms at the 90-degree angles, we say shimmy and matep.
Shimmy and matep.
Cross over, right over left, brothers.
Left over right.
Sisters left over right. Dianu Anku Jasaneh.
Dianu Anku Jasaneh.
Okay, open up, give energy around the room. And bring it back to your heart chakra. And stomp it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Do our netter.
Do our netter, Sir Robert Jr. Rock, for that wonderful, wonderful message. Thank you to everyone on Facebook and YouTube for joining us today for our regularly scheduled communion. We appreciate the energy that you share with us in the form of your donations. Reciprocity can be sent to us by PayPal, templeavenue@gmail.com, or by Cash App, $Temple Avenue. We look forward to seeing you at our next regularly scheduled communion. And until then, we say Shemi and Matez.